After a skirmish with Minas Tirith, Nazgul's forces head south through the White Mountains. Their retreat to Mordor cut short at arriving forces from Rohan. Navigating through the terrain, they safely make it to the other side, but their every move was being watched. Men of the dead emerge from the mountains to cut them down. It's coming up next as MGM presents Battle Companies.
Alright, welcome back to MGM, a great place for casual gaming. Today we have a battle between the dead and Nazgul's maggots. Nazgul's maggots are led by Nazgul, and his force will be out one orc with an injury. The Sergeant Zog embarks on the Path of the Warrior and rolls a 10, increasing his might by 1. They have an active rating of 98, total rating of 104. The dead are led by Arios. He carries a shield along with his sword and armor. His two sergeants, one with shield and another with spear. Another warrior follows with spear, and they have a rating of 105. Today we are playing Recovery. The dead will choose a table edge, and 5 objective markers will be placed with one secretly marked as the relic. One is placed at the center, and then players alternate placing remaining objectives outside of 12 inches from either player's board edge and 6 inches from a battlefield edge, and outside of 8 inches from each other. Both battle companies are searching for the relic, and once it is found, they must escape with it. The game lasts until either the relic has been moved off the board, or there are no enemy models left on the battlefield. For special rules, we have the relic. That means when a model moves into base contact with an objective marker, we'll flip it to see if it is the relic. If it is not, we remove the objective from play. If it is, the model acquires it and treats it as a heavy object. Also, the glories to be had. The model that moves off the board with the relic will be richly rewarded, and we'll cover that at the end of the game. I hope you enjoy it. Please consider clicking the like button to support our efforts, and subscribe for more Middle-earth strategy battle game content. Turn 1 is coming up next. And as you saw from those opening rolls in the bottom right corner, the dead did win at turn 1, and in this scenario you move your forces onto the board from your board edge. We're going to see a lot of moving in these initial turns as both of these forces make their ways towards the caches at the center. Turn 2 comes up, and the orcs will take priority. Most of them have deployed with some kind of spear support. We do have one operating on the right side that is off to himself. The orcs have double the models of the dead, so they can cover a lot more ground, and they continue to march forward. The dead are controlled by my son in this game. He is sending his units forward as well, having spear support. We quickly go into turn 3. He continues to push forward now, going towards the center objective. With 2 more dead on the right flank, it goes over to the orcs, and I continue to push my men forwards as well. With no shooting from either side, we immediately pop into turn 4. The dead are going to take it. He's going to send 2 of his men through the rocks. We are treating this as difficult terrain, so they move at half speed. Meanwhile, the 2 on the right flank are going to go and search, and they find the relic on the first search. The orcs sound a horn to let the warriors know that the relic has been found, and they begin to rush forwards towards the enemy. We do have an orc with a bow. That is our only proxy model in this game, and he is moving into a shooting position as the rest move forward. Turn 5 on the horizon, a very pivotal initiative roll, and it goes to the evil side, and they are going to attempt to charge into the dead. Nazgul wants to be first to the fray. He needs to take a courage check and passes, using a point of might to get into contact. The Sergeant Gaz attempts to get into contact but fails and stands still in terror. Orc forces finish their movement, and we move to the Men of the Dead, where the 2 on the hill are quickly going to start making their way down. From the ruins, Grugga launches an arrow, but his shot fails to find the target. In our first combat, it's a 2-on-2 duel, and the score is tied. Fight values are tied, and it looks like the good side will be pushed back on a roll of 1. 2 strikes are made, but he needs a 6 followed by a 4 due to the shield that he carries. and while he gets it, a point of fate will be expended. Azul successfully escapes the wound. We move into turn 6 where the orcs take the priority, and Dazgul once again passes a courage check. We also have Urag with his two-handed weapon passing a courage check, and Zog passes a courage check, charging into combat with spear support. The other Sergeant, Gaz, continues to move towards the fray, and over on the right flank, Bolrag continues to make his way up the board. The dead successfully get their fighters off difficult terrain and begin moving them towards the battle line. Another arrow is fired at them, but the shot misses. At the top of the battle line, Zog goes into combat with a spearman against the dead spearman. They successfully take it on a 5. With a 6 to wound, this should take down Lameth, but he is a champion. He will be able to prevent this. We also forget that there's a two-hander here as well, so we're going to roll up for him. While there is no wound, Lameth is going to attempt to block with a point of fate. He fails and evaporates into dust. Alongside him, Azul fights and everybody rolls a 5, but Azul uses a point of might to change to a 6, pushes them back but fails to wound. The dead have Blades of Terror, so they would wound on 4s, Dazgul just making it out of that combat alive. Priority rolls go out for turn 7. They tie, so we go over to the dead. And in turn 7, Azul is going to drop the crate, and he is going to charge into Urag. The rest of his men are going to continue to work their way towards the center, looking to get into combat on the next turn. Zog has to pass a courage check to charge. He is successful and gets spear support, and Gaz is also going to charge in as well. Meanwhile, Dazgul and his spear support are going to pick up the chest. The rest of the movement for the orcs, Bolrag is going to continue to work his way around the rocks, and it looks like Grugga is going to come down from his heightened position with his bow. We get stuck into a 4-on-1 situation, and no matter how you cut it, the orcs come away with a 6. He is trapped and they will double their strikes. We roll for these individually so we can see who causes the wound. In fact, that there is one, he does carry a shield, so we would need a 6 followed by a 4. The orcs, however, are unsuccessful on all of their rolls. Turn 8 quickly upon us. We go to the orcs with the tie on initiative. They continue to position their fighters and attempt to charge by passing terror tests. Dazgul and his spearmen make a break with the chest. Since they are both carrying it, they can move 6 inches. Zog goes to pass his courage test and will pass. Gaz will pass his terror test and get into contact as well, and the two-hander. The leader, Arios, abandons Azul and chases down the relic. Again, 4 dice against 1 in this duel. The two-hander is in red. It looks like the evil forces are going to take the duel. He is trapped. Double strikes going out again. While they get to strike twice, there are no wounds, needing 6s followed by 4s with his shield. We go to turn 9, and the initiative goes back to the dead. Arios, along with his spear support, are going to charge into Dazgul that is carrying the relic. Azul peels off and goes to fight Gaz in hand-to-hand combat. The orcs start to roll for terror, and Urag makes it in. Zog fails, but so the spearman is going to wrap around to keep 3 dice on Azul. The remainder of the orc forces continue to close in, with Bolrag making a full lap around the map. The bowman Grugga will attempt to charge in as well. He does fail, so he stands still in terror. He musters the courage to fire his bow, but misses. In our first combat, we have a 3-on-1 where the orcs successfully trap Azul. They begin strikes, but they need 6s followed by 4s due to his shield, increasing his toughness. As we move to the 2 leaders squaring off, it is 2-on-1 this time. The dead will take it. He blows Dazgul back and makes strikes. He rolls a 3 and uses a point of might to change this to a 4. Dazgul fails his fate point and is eliminated. As we look into turn 10, it's going to go over to the Orcs, winning with a 5. Courage tests will be needed in order to make it into combat, and we do see a lot of fails coming at this point. That was one of the Spearmen. Grugga fails as well. Zog is able to make it successfully into contact. The Spearman will follow him. Gaz also successfully gets into contact as well. We're back in melee as Arios announces a charge into the Spearman Snog, and they're one-on-one. Arios will successfully outduel him and lands a strike on a 4+ and takes him out of action. Next we move to the fight between Haradrim and the champion Zog. It is a 2-on-1. The Orcs successfully outduel him but are unable to take him down. Meanwhile, Azul is tied up with Gaz, the other sergeant for the Orcs. The two are fighting one-on-one, and Gaz is going to win the duel, pushing him back. He needs a 6 followed by a 4, and he rolls a 3, uses a point of might to convert this to a 4. As the blade goes through, Azul turns to dust. With initiative rolls for turn 11 coming out, we go back to the Men of the Dead, and we will see charges from both Haradrim as well as Arios. The Orcs begin taking their terror test, and they are really good at passing these things, and they just continue to make it into combat with the Dead. There's 3 more passes as they launch into an assault. The first assault is a 2-on-1, and the Orcs are going to take the duel. While the strikes fall short, Zog uses one of his points of might to change this to a 6, and he wounds Haradrim, taking him out of the game. Alongside him, there is a 3-on-1. The Orcs successfully win another duel. As they make strikes, they need 6s followed by 4s. We did consider him as trapped. They are unable to get Arios down. With Arios, the leader, sticking around for turn 12, we roll for initiative. The Orcs get it, but then they start to fail their terror checks. They do have the bowman Grugga that gets into combat, and while they will outduel Arios, they do not land any wounds. Arios continues to stay in combat with his high courage, but the Orcs continue to swarm him. Passing more terror tests, they continue to get into combat with him. Winning duel after duel and making trapped strikes, they finally land a 6 followed by a 4. Arios tries to deny this with his 4-up fate roll, but he misses. The Spearman Ugg from the back, landing the defeating blow. With that, the Dead of Dunharrow evaporate into mist. Dazgul's maggots will come away with a victory today, even though Dazgul himself did not make it through the battle. The game concludes with the Orcs moving to 3-1. The Dead of Dunharrow will take an 0-1 in their initial debut. And in the post-game, Dazgul makes a full recovery, is able to increase his might by 1 through a promotion. Snog makes a full recovery. Gaz embarks on the Path of the Warrior and gets the skill Burly. Zog gets +1 to his strength, and the rest received no promotions. They have a new rating of 119 and an influence of 8. The Dead's Arios made a full recovery. Azul takes an old battle wound. Lameth gained just a scratch, so he will sit the next game, and Haradrim ended up being dead, but more for real than he already is. Their new rating is 90. They're off to a rough start in this one. We'll have to see what the campaign entails as we move forward. But hey, look, I really appreciate you watching this battle report. Supporters Club, your names are on the screen now. Big thank you to you. If you'd like any information on that, a link will be down in the description below. It's by no means necessary. If you watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support the channel. So thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.